Hello, everybody, and welcome back once more to Anime Yay or Nay. I am TheOutbackAl.
I'm Yin&Jung.
I'm Chibi Noob.
I'm Envy Jitters.
And I'm CheerandCosplay.
And it's the last week of Video Game Adaptation Month. Hey, I got it right for once.
Woo.
And this is, we didn't play a game. God damn it.
We did.
Let's try this again.
We did play this game.
We did, just not now. All right, take two. We watched a thing that we played. It was Angels of Death. Cool.
Yes.
Who, just so I understand, I'm there for every game, basically. Who else saw the game to the end?
I'm pretty sure I did.
Me?
At least most of it.
Okay.
I was there for like one episode, so I went into this pretty much cold.
Okay.
I was there throughout at least most of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I was there for all of it.
I think we played on your laptop or something. Because this was yours
Yes,
and
we
Kozi's
did.
game. So, yeah, I expected you to be there.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, no, I forget some things too. Anyway, we watched this. This was a 16 episodes or something that they made. It was an adaptation of like...
It's 12 or 13.
I saw 16 on the site that I went to,
Really?
but I don't know. It probably was 13, then they had some OVAs or something. I don't know. I didn't look into it too much. Adaptation of that game, which is like 4 chapters and different floors and different stuff. A girl wakes up in a hospital, but it's not a hospital. She's underground and trying to get her way back to the surface, but through a bunch of varying floors of horrifying stuff.
She's underground, but there's the moon.
Yes, but it's painted and it's fake, like most things in this place probably. I guess I probably want to like ask Envy, you know, you said you were there early, so you probably saw some of the early stuff with Zach. What was your overall thoughts here as far as like, I guess, first impressions of some other elements that were here?
Well, last week I was gushing about Persona 4, and some of you guys were a little underwhelmed. I guess it's my turn now. I was kind of underwhelmed with this. I didn't hate it, but I wasn't a big fan of it.
I mean, I kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
As someone who went the whole way through, it's like, I feel like this is par for the course, is like, this is kind of like a truncated version of the story. So it's like...
Yeah.
I mean, it not even so much of it being an adaptation. Like, I just wasn't a huge fan of the tone and the themes.
No, I hear you on that, yeah. Does anyone else get, like, I wish I was Tokyo Ghoul or something?
It's really edgy, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the game itself was really edgy with a lot of, like, Christian imagery in it, so it was going for something like that. And with, I guess, a deuteragonist such as Zach, I can't see how it wasn't trying to do exactly that.
I wonder if this is like a thing, because I don't think I had as much of a problem with it when we were playing the game, but here it feels cringy a little bit.
Yeah.
I think that's
too.
probably because we were making fun of it as we were going along.
Very likely. But I also wonder if maybe there's like a translation. It's kind of a translation thing, because like I know there were certain parts where we were taking the game seriously when it gets to some of the more serious stuff. I mean, we're making jokes like Dr. Danny and all that.
Yeah.
Stuff,
I think it's just like, for me, I felt more invested when we were playing it, and I just felt like it also had this like kind of old school like feel to it.
It's like a pixel art kind of
Yeah, that made it feel kind of more like, I don't know, it gave it a different vibe that I think like helped it a little bit. But when it's just in anime format, it feels really like cringy and like
It feels like everything
edgy.
else a little bit.
Yeah, it just loses some of its like uniqueness, I think, in translation. In translation from mediums, I mean.
Okay.
I'll agree with that. Especially JRPG horror games have a very specific kind of tone, and it can work really, really well.
It feels kind of Corpse
'cause-
Party-esque, you know?
Yeah, that's
Is there an
exactly
anime
what
for
it's trying to go for.
Maybe we need to watch that next Halloween or something.
Ooh, yes, but it just sometimes doesn't really translate well, especially like sometimes I think like when we think of things that definitely remind us more of like mid 2000s to early 2010s kind of aesthetic a little bit, then it gets kind of cringe.
Yeah. It's like some Linkin Park's gonna be playing. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Okay, hold up. I do like some Linkin Park.
But you know what I
on its
mean.
own.
You know
No,
the vibe
I
I'm
know.
talking
It feels
about.
end of a Transformers movie kind of thing.
I think there's something to be said about like this separation. When we were playing, we were kind of like in control, and now it's just some girl this is happening to.
True.
Yeah.
I'll say this, as far as an adaptation does go, it is following it
Yeah.
pretty well. It's
Yep.
sort of that similar thing that we've been seeing in a couple of these other ones where it's like, this is a much shortened version of the events. It's kind of like Ace Attorney and some of the other ones where it's like, oh, that first trial that took us like 8 fucking hours to get through is like, no, you were done. We were done with that in the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
cool.
All right. Well then, let me ask you this then. In the game, how long did it take for you to get from the first floor where Zach was at to the creepy doctor's floor and deal with all that?
A few episodes, right?
It was relatively quick. If I'm remembering correctly, it's split up into 4 chapters, essentially. The first chapter is basically these 3 episodes, the first 3 floors. And then I think the next floor has its own chapter, the one after that has its own chapter, and the one after that is the final chapter.
I think so.
Because I remember the one with, was her name Kathy?
Yeah.
Kathy was
Something
like a
like that.
whole shebang, and it took a while. And then the priest was a whole shebang, that took a while. And then the final level was a whole shebang, took a while.
Yeah, these ones are definitely the fastest.
Yeah, so I'd imagine that if some people maybe had an issue of like, oh, this is moving really, really quickly, it will slow down moving forward probably. Because if it's divided up in a relatively like one core kind of setup, the next 3 episodes should be just one floor.
Probably, yeah.
So, which is maybe good because
But I don't know still how they'll get like 13 episodes out of it.
16 by the thing
Or
I was
16.
looking.
I don't know
Yeah.
how it will happen.
It depends on how much they do on flashback stuff because there's always going to be flashback stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Still.
I don't know.
I mean, when you guys played the game, did you like the story? Like, because it's the same type of story. Did you like the story and the themes, or is it different playing it in a game versus watching it as an anime?
I think I liked it better in the game. I think it's still kind of edgy. It's still like, it has that vibe a lot. But like I said, it feels like more like I can get invested, or like I can feel like it's a little more genuine in the game. But it's still like the story in general feels a bit like a middle schooler, high schooler kind of wrote it when they were in like a phase a little bit. You know, it still has a bit of that vibe, but it's like in a better way. I think the game is fun and I enjoy it for the most part, but I think it's like, I don't know, it's a little edgy still.
I don't know if people who actually like the game are you're going to dislike me for this. I'm not actually a fan of the game, but I'm a fan of us playing it
Yeah.
because I'm making jokes and shit. And I'm not saying it's a bad game. I don't think it's a bad game. Actually, there was like it's got some puzzle elements that are pretty fun, and there's like some good stuff in there. And I do think there's a story here for people if they like that kind of thing. But at the same time, it's like,
It's kind of cringy.
yeah, a little bit. And I'm kind of like, you know what? I can have fun.
Yeah.
Kind of making fun of it.
It's fun to play with friends, like more than play by yourself, for sure.
Yeah. Like, you and me watched this together.
Yeah.
And I feel like we made 1 or 2 jokes here and there, but it was just few and far between.
It got more boring, yeah.
A little bit.
And they kind of monologued for a long time, or just had like the same conversation like 5 times in a row. Like when they were talking to the little guy.
I dozed off partway through. I had a very early morning today and a late night last night, so it's like I'm running on very little sleep. But I felt like I fell asleep, and then I woke up a few minutes later. They were having the same conversation.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything, you know?
So-
I mean, they
yeah.
do have the same conversation about, like, what their deal is.
Yeah.
Like,
feel
at least once an episode.
It's always like, yeah, I want to kill you, but I want to die. Oh, so I don't want to kill you because you want to die, so that's not fun for me, you know?
Which, if I'm remembering, is a thing in the game as well.
Keep going
It
back
is.
and
But
forth.
the
It is,
games, the gameplay is just longer, so it's a little more spread out, maybe.
It's like you can kind of
Yeah.
like get through it better than when you're like listening to them talking about it, you know?
Yeah.
It just feels like a slog. a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. What other thoughts do you guys have on this?
I mean, I kind of feel the same way about this as I do the game. Like, the game to me was also fairly cringy, and I've played some other JRPG horror games that are not quite like this, and I guess it's mostly just because I feel like it laid on a lot of stuff a little too thick for me, which I'm like, if we had backed it up and made it a little more subtle, I feel like I would have been fine.
Yeah.
But I feel like maybe having it like right there in your face is kind of the point. But I kind of found it a little bit funny where they were throwing in some like game mechanics into the show as I was watching it, because it was like, oh, you have to go and find the key in order to get the elevator. Oh, there's a button in the water. Oh, well, let's go find the other thing so we can go and find the door.
It is interesting to see how each of these adaptations do implement their like game aesthetics and game mechanics and stuff. I know Ace Attorney had the little location expository information thing on the bottom of the screen, just like they always do in the game, which actually fits to the sort of thing because narratively you can justify that. And then Danganronpa had the bullet stuff and like some of the overlay kind of things, and they're like, I don't think I can just say that they're heightened style kind of thing, but that's just the aesthetic of the overall series, so it doesn't really that's not a gameplay mechanic. Last week with Persona, what was I feel like there was some kind of gameplay mechanic that they included in the thing, but I'm not sure. I haven't played the game, so it's hard for me to say.
It was the stands.
Well, yeah, but that's... I feel like that's a core element of just straight up your universe, so... I don't know.
There wasn't major gameplay references in the first 3 episodes, but
okay.
I understand what you're talking about. But,
yeah, and then this one is kind of like, oh, we sort of know we're in a puzzle game a little bit.
Yeah.
When she ran into the kitchen or whatever, and it kind of slowed down a little, and she was looking for a place to hide. I was like, oh man, she got that on the first try. Good for her. It took us 8 tries.
I don't think it took us 8 tries.
It took us a couple tries.
Okay, if you're being chased, sometimes you're like, oh shit, I gotta use mechanics now. We were just talking for a while, and then suddenly Zach is just running at you.
Yeah.
Sometimes that'll happen, but...
I forget what episode was it. I think it was the 3rd episode where, Zach just tears up the whole gravesite for no reason. That whole sequence just... I don't know why this is so stupid, but it's just it was like that joke from Ed, Edd, and Eddy where it was like, Ed, do not eat that dirt, and then he eats the dirt the very next second. That just kind of reminded me. It's like she tells him, okay, do not tear up the grave sites. What does he do? Tears up the grave sites.
Nothing for nothing. I know we're kind of shitting on this show a little bit. I think Zach and Rachel work here as a duo.
Absolutely,
especially for the comedy bits, I think it really works because he is so at 11 all the time, and she is so deadpan that it really works as a straight man gag.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I did not care for either. I did not care for Zach as a character at all. I just liked his voice actor in the sub, so that's all I can say personally.
I watched the dub, and the one thing that I'm most disappointed about is that his laugh doesn't match the game. Because that is such a specific laugh.
It is such a specific laugh. Honestly, I also watched the dub.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be really honest. Cece, did you watch this beforehand? Because you were matching his tone, spot on for,
really?
that first part of the game. Yes! I'm like, why does this feel like I'm listening to Cece read off these lines, but this isn't Cece? Because this was, the tone that Cece used.
Oh,
and I was
pretty good about myself.
And I scratched my head for a little bit. I'm like, what is happening right now?
I mean, I think this... Go ahead.
I thought the same thing about Kozi's Dr. Danny voice.
Yes, very
much.
That
was kind of spot on.
It might be possible, because I think Kozi was the one who recommended the game. They might have also seen the anime at some point.
True.
I did ask her about that when we were watching it, and she said... She was like, I watched the second half because I don't like the first half of the game. I thought it was too slow. But now that we're watching it, holy shit, they're all ready to Eddie.
Yeah. I was like, wow, this is really going. I'll give it, I guess this is a compliment to the game. It's not hard to figure out how these people are supposed to sound because everyone in the game does talk in a very distinct way.
Yeah, they have very obvious personalities.
Was Chibi, you were doing Rachel, right?
Yeah.
I'd say
at
you
least
probably
part of the way through.
Yeah, I'd say you probably matched what she was doing here because I feel like they're at the very least because these games they need strong characters to connect to. Otherwise, I don't think anyone's going to be interested because the gameplay is not really what you're coming for. I don't think necessarily.
No.
So yeah, I think the fact that they were able to write characters that were so clear in what their characterization was, and then it's very easy to translate them over and then be like, well, yeah, I know how to voice this character. This character is exactly as they're written in the thing. So, yeah. I'm trying to think, who did I...
You were the priest. And
Yeah.
I think you were also Kathy.
Yeah,
I have a feeling
sounds right.
Kathy will be different than whatever my interpretation was.
Yeah,
You were going for some sort of like a game show host thing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I
very
don't-
Metaton.
I don't know that I get... What is that?
It's from Undertale.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Maybe I have to play Undertale. I don't think they would go with that. So, I don't know. Who knows? No, I think the dubcast on this was pretty good overall. The dialogue a little repetitive, a little just overall, but like good performances.
To be fair, those moments with the dialogue happened in the game very
Yeah.
frequently.
Yeah.
So I can't say they weren't going for accuracy with that and just trying to fill time.
I will say this, because they weren't waiting on people to click the screen, I do think their comedic timing is better than us a little sometimes. For
Sure.
some of the back and forth jokes.
I did not like. I think it was when Zach climbed into the water, and then like the background went super cartoony. It
Yeah.
was just like, what in the shoujo?
I mean,
This doesn't fit.
I
Not in
gotta-
the show.
I gotta be real. You either gotta not do that at all, or you gotta do that a lot more for that to work.
Yeah.
And I don't... It did take me out of that a little bit. But at the same time, I'm almost like, do I want more of that?
Yeah.
Would I be having more fun with this if it was a little more, like, silly goofy? But then it's like, okay, we're also talking about murdering children a little bit. I don't know if we should go silly goofy.
I mean, I'm not sure camp and horror is necessarily always like something they go for with Japanese horror, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I feel like camp is definitely a horror thing here.
I was just
At
thinking
least.
about Secrets in the Hot Springs, but then I'm like, no, that's from
Yes.
Taiwan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
true.
I don't know if cheesy slasher movies like Friday the 13th are a big thing in Japan. They're more psychological.
But it depends on Friday the 13th, because those early ones were not cheesy. They
I'm talking about last. I'm talking about the last, or
What
like
are you
the fourth
talking about?
one. Where
The early Friday the 13th was absolutely cheesy.
Are we thinking of Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm
I'm
Street?
thinking of Friday the 13th. Come on, man.
Those were played straight.
But it was cheesy.
I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think that makes it more cheesy.
I think by
Yeah.
today's standards, they're cheesy. Do you think the original Halloween's cheesy?
No.
Why not?
I think it's a little less campy feeling than Friday the 13th. I don't think this is the place for this debate, but still.
I feel like you know
It was like directed very different.
there's a month coming up later. We can
We can talk
you and
about
me can
it.
sit down, watch, have a conversation.
Yeah.
I think as far as camp goes, you don't beat Nightmare.
Well, no, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying there's some camp in Friday the 13th. Unintentionally, I think so.
I think the further any horror series, the farther it goes on, is going to get campier.
Absolutely.
Fortunately or unfortunately. You could also look at like the Leprechaun series, which is like, no, we're
that
going to
one
be
from
campy.
the start.
We're from the start, yeah. Jennifer Aniston is going to be having some problems. And then we're going to go to space. And then we're going to go to the hood twice. We do need to watch this series.
What are you talking about?
The Leprechaun. Have you not seen The Leprechaun? The
I
Warwick
haven't
Davis?
seen any of the movies you've been talking about.
You need to see The Leprechaun, the Warwick Davis slasher horror film series.
It's pretty insane.
Well, I need to watch all these horror movies.
Yeah.
I've seen reviews of them. I know what you're talking about.
Tis
Yeah.
the season, guys.
Yeah.
Well, not yet, but
Season's coming
close
up.
enough.
You know
Close
what?
enough.
We're getting close to September.
Listen.
September at this point is basically just
it's
pre-Halloween.
the season.
It's been
Pre-Halloween, you can still
pre-Halloween
get your
since
pick,
the end
yeah.
of July.
That's true. That's true. Halloween is allowed to annex other months. God, where were we here? So
Yeah, how did we get here?
I don't know.
I made the
Tone.
you made someone made the thing about tone and cheesiness. I said they don't make cheesy slasher films like that in Japan, or I asked that question, and then that went off
I
a
think-
tangent.
I think Envy. I think you're right. To be fair, my knowledge of Japanese horror films, especially like I don't think they make as many slashers over
They're
there.
usually more like curse-based and like more psychological ghost stories.
I will say, like, Japanese horror is definitely more, yes, supernatural based, and anything that's more like if a serial killer is involved, that's normally more like a crime drama sort of film.
Yeah.
Normally,
I think they're more atmosphere over spectacle.
yes,
I think that's a good way
very
to describe
much.
it. And of course, hey, we had America Month the other month. We know that Americans are all about spectacle. So,
Yes.
thus reflected in our horror films.
Uh-huh.
Patreon content. So, we got through 3 different floors here, which is technically half of this facility, but only a quarter of the game. Who was everybody's favorite so far as like your villain of the day goes?
I mean, is it sad that the kid with the pumpkin mask was the most normal out of the 3?
I
No,
mean,
that makes sense.
He is. You're not wrong.
I mean, you had a pedophile doctor and then a literal serial killer. So,
I guess he's a
mean, out of the-
necrophiliac, right? The kid.
That's the implication. I don't know that.
Yeah.
I can't remember whether he said anything. I might have dozed off.
He
but-
did.
I will say
So-
this: he was gonna
Yeah.
give Rachel the most humane death out of the 3.
Yeah.
So
Like, he
that's-
was going to make sure she had a nice, beautiful burial and her corpse was beautiful and, stuff.
I think
Yeah.
he said something about one-sided love with corpses. So
A
I
little
think
bit, yeah.
he is.
Yeah, he did.
But he's an interesting character.
He's also a kid. I'm a little like. Maybe Zach was just being an asshole.
I thought the kid said that himself. Am I
The
crazy?
kid
did.
did say that, yes.
I feel like I
You were
could
dozing.
go into this conversation of like, well, what is that love mean?
What does it mean?
kind of
Yeah,
thing?
it
What
could
does
be
that
vague,
mean?
it could be
Is
vague.
that I'm admiring this? It's like there's arguments on both sides of that. I don't
would
know.
say necrophilia is definitely one way to go with it. I think another way to go with it is more like he has a deep respect for
Yeah.
like death
Maybe.
and everything.
It's a
Like an
metaphor.
aesthetic appreciation.
We
Yes.
know what Zach interpreted it as.
Oh yes.
So
That's how I interpreted it, but it could be a metaphor
Zach is a
as well.
sad, broken teenager. Like,
True.
yeah.
he will think what he
Yeah.
thinks. He can't even read.
Nope.
I can't even read.
I can't read.
All right, so we don't know what's going on with this kid, but it's implied he could be or maybe not. He's a little odd.
I'm gonna hold out hope for not. I don't know.
We're gonna hope.
Series is kind
I
of
mean-
dark enough as it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, we can kind of assume that yes, it probably is a thing. I don't want to assume it's a
We
thing,
don't want to.
but probably is.
You know what? For the amount of edge that they're leaning towards,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be surprised. I guess. I probably Zach's my favorite right now, just because he seems like of anyone, and especially this might be a voice thing, but like definitely understood the assignment.
Yeah.
Yes.
He could be pretty
Definitely,
fun.
like he was like, you know what? You are having the time of your life. Just go in there and have the time of your life. And yeah. I don't think this will end with a dirty dancing montage, but you know.
You never know.
I don't really think I have a favorite person or like a person who like intrigued me the most. I'm kind of just like watching.
Maybe it's me being me, but I'm a little sad we didn't get to Kathy.
Yeah. I was sitting there like, do I go on to episode 4? Because I want to see her.
Yeah.
But I also
And I
don't really
would-
want to keep watching this.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say go on to episode 4.
I might give this another episode just to see what they do a little bit, see Kathy a little. Because, like, nothing to, she got a nice aesthetic. She has a fun kind of, like, floor design kind of thing. Like, could be good. I don't know. This first section it feels a little rushed, and yet at the same time slow. Which, I don't know how they did that.
I mean, I feel like there wasn't really a whole lot to do on Danny's floor to begin with, other than like the main story beats that they showed. It probably just took us a while to get through it.
I think we were like inspecting every cabinet and beaker
Yeah.
too.
And then it's probably same thing with Eddie's floor. Although it's a little bit more spread out because I think it took part of episode 2 and then all of episode 3.
Yeah, they're definitely keeping it just to the plot. You're not really like looking at any of the like, because there are some elements of like, oh, you look at this thing, get this description, blah blah blah, and I think there's meant to be like in the game a little bit of like world building elements with that. You can kind of piece together a couple things of the puzzle because like your character has amnesia. You're learning about what's going on, kind of thing. So, and I think that works in the game. But here it's like, well, how are you gonna do that and make it like not boring when Rachel's just walking around looking for notes or descriptions of like stuff?
Okay.
So
I just need to burst in because I did a fact check about Eddie.
Oh my god!
And it's it says the English dub might have been the problem.
Okay.
It says the English dub painted him that way, but he states that he's not.
Okay.
See, this leads back.
That makes me feel a little
weird.
better.
Here's my thing. That might be me being right that Zach is just leaning into it because he knows it pisses him off.
But I think maybe also the line that the kid says maybe was dubbed weird. In a way that just...
It might have been a mistranslation
a
little bit in how they localized something like that.
Yeah.
But that makes me feel a little bit better.
Me too, because I like Eddie, you know?
I do like Eddie. I feel like out of all of them, he's kind of got... Even though he's kind of a crazy serial killer as well.
They're all crazy serial killers. I mean, it's like the bar is not high.
No, I feel like he's the one with kind of like the best intentions that we've seen so far.
Yeah, he's
which is
like
bad to say because serial killer, but
he's sympathetic.
Yeah.
But also a bit of an incel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a child. He could grow out of it.
True.
Well, he won't now.
Did we see him without his mask in the game? I don't remember.
I think shortly. It probably was similar to this, where like whenever spoiler, he dies. Like, who knew going into a building full of serial killers that people were going to die?
Don't we see him again at some point?
I think there was
in the trial thing, right?
Yeah, there was like some flashback type stuff and like some other. I don't want to spoil it for anyone who like actually wants to watch it or play.
I'm never going to watch or play this again. So
I don't think we've gone into too much detail, but they're like many games that include characters with amnesia. There are flashback sequences and other things where you kind of like learn a little bit more about what's really going on. So yeah, some characters will come back later in elements like that and other things. So yeah.
Did they ever explain the backstory of this world and why there's a bunch of floors in this building that look differently?
God damn it, you asked me this too, and
because I couldn't remember. I was like, what was the backstory again? And I'm like, I feel like it's never fully like fleshed
because
out.
Like not only are the floors different, they're different geographies. Like Zach's floor is like a city block, whereas the doctor's floor is like an office building floor. So like, how does the size and dimensions even work?
Okay. So
wasn't it supposed to be like limbo or something?
Well,
that's what I thought.
No, it's
I was like, are they all dead?
It's a real place, and we meet the architect of it. Here's Envy. This is the best way I think I can describe it for you. Do you remember the end of the first season of Sword Art Online?
Yes.
Where he meets the creator of the game, and we really don't get a good explanation for anything.
Kinda, yeah.
He explains it, but it's like, okay, this is a totally unsatisfactory explanation of anything.
Yeah.
I feel like that was probably what we got in the game.
It was confusing.
Gotcha.
Like, there is an explanation, but it's like...
It's a non-explanation.
You just kind of go like, okay, I get... All right.
Like, I could, does the mastermind of this world want to get the worst people of humanity and just have them kill each other, or like put other bad people in there to just, instead of doing it themselves or something like that?
I don't know if I'm forgetting because it was a bad answer or I just like was focused on other shit. I don't remember.
Does anyone remember what this world was?
I remember being given an answer. I don't remember the answer.
Gotcha.
Which tells me it probably wasn't a good answer.
Maybe I should fact check.
Fact check me on this. Is it Sword Art Online?
Because my thing is like, okay, if all the people in this on all these floors are psychopaths, what the hell did Rachel do in her past to get into that facility?
Okay, we do see that.
Here's the thing we would like to point out. She's not the only victim. There's been other people sent in here. And there's cameras everywhere, which to me, I almost feel like a more plausible explanation would have been like a Animal World situation, or like or a battle royale kind of thing, where it's like, oh, a bunch of rich people have kidnapped people and put them in like a gauntlet scenario, or Squid Game or something like that, where it's like, hey, this is a horrible thing that evil people are doing for their own entertainment kind of thing.
Oh, it's some sort of experiment.
Okay, that makes sense. In that it doesn't make sense.
I thought the cameras were for Kathy. I thought she set those up.
But
So partly they are for Kathy, but they are to monitor the people that are there.
They're on every floor. If it was just her floor, then yeah. But like,
I'm sorry. I meant like she's the one that is surveilling everyone.
I think it goes beyond her because she's not the architect.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, I remember why she has her own floor. It's literally from the end of the game.
Because she was going to be really good at building like stuff and things for stuff. I assumed a lot of these people were just grabbed because of their talents. Like there was some sort of serial killer talent agency that was just like, here's your people. That's the ones you want, kind of thing.
Super high school level serial killer.
Yeah, absolutely. It gives Danganronpa a little bit in a couple spots. Like, what was that one scene? Was Eddie fighting someone and it was like it went super like weird red? No, Zach.
That was Zach.
That
was silly.
Yeah.
Zach was destroying the headstones and it went full Danganronpa.
Yeah.
I feel like that sequence was much more satisfying in the game.
Yeah, because you're the one
because you were
destroying
doing it.
Okay,
Yeah.
it seems like all anybody knows is that they were brought together to kill everyone freely, kind of like what MV said. Like, I don't think anybody knows why this building was made.
Okay,
like, I can't find anything.
If we were given an explanation, it was an
It's
unsatisfactory
like up to
one.
interpretation.
Sure. Okay. Fine. That makes
If
sense.
you want to give it some...
I feel like this is not necessarily a criticism. I feel like whoever came up with the game came up with a cool concept. By the end of the game, was not able to come up with a decent reason, but was like, "This is a cool enough concept," and people ran with it. And fair enough, you know, plenty of like dumb ideas that are just cool idea concepts. You can make shit out of that, and people love it, and I love it a lot of times too. So
it's like that. It's like that. I don't know if it was a meme for everybody. I know for me and my friends, it was a meme whenever we were in high school, where we were reading books and the teachers are like, so what does this symbolize? Why are the curtains blue? It represents the character's emotional state. And then the author's like, no, the curtains are just fucking blue. That was it.
I like.
Well, even then, at that point, that author is dead because that was one of the Bronte sisters. She would have never given an explanation. That was Jane Eyre, I think.
Yeah.
See, I was picturing great fucking never mind.
I was
Gatsby?
thinking Hamlet.
Yes.
Like, did they mention that they were blue when he stabbed the guy through them?
No,
you're
No,
They
it's
were
Jane
blue and
Eyre.
turned red.
Yeah,
I
it
don't
was
know.
Jane Eyre. Yeah, it was Jane Eyre. Yeah, they spent like a whole paragraph talking about how blue the curtains were.
Let me
And
tell you what happened. Let me tell you what was going on there. The author got some nice ass blue curtains and just wanted to gush a little bit. Let her go off, you know?
This is a very long book.
In Gatsby, somebody had a cream car because it's white and that means innocence.
No.
Some bullshit.
I mean, it was the 20s. There were two colors. It was black or it was white.
Yeah.
Like, standard was black.
Didn't one
so
of
I
them
think
have
the
a
white
yellow car, though? Like, I remember
You know
one
what?
of the cars being yellow.
I think you're right.
Because
it was
gold.
a yellow car. Yeah.
Yeah, because Gatsby was obsessed with money and gold. It was the closest color he could get. I think that's how it went, and that was the character who had it, but I could be wrong.
Why was this car black? Because it only came in black. What the fuck do you want?
Because he's Batman.
Well, I mean, that is an aesthetic decision. Let's be real. Why is it shaped like a bat?
Branding.
Brandon. Trademark Batman Incorporated. Actually, that probably is a thing, now that I'm thinking about it. We're very off topic at this point.
I think
What-
we're done at this point.
Final thoughts? Should we go around?
Yeah,
Sure.
final thoughts.
I feel like overall this month has been pretty meh overall, and the overall thing that I've learned from most of these is just, hey, you should play the game.
Yeah.
Because it'll probably be a little bit more fun and a better experience. I think it's about the same here. Meh, like, fine. It's a decent adaptation. The animation's fine. You know, it looks good. The openings and ending, not too bad. Enjoyable enough. Fun if you like the occasional, just like, goofy back and forth between Zach and Rachel. But overall, yeah, the game is probably better. If you want to watch that, we played the whole thing. Hey, we actually finished the game. Go watch that at some point. But yeah, so overall, I'm kind of a meh on this, but I did enjoy the game.
I'm gonna put it as a light nay. I think the anime really enhances the kind of cringiness and edginess of the game in a way that I don't like. Like, it kind of enhances the worst parts of the game and kind of like decreases the uniqueness of the game for me and the things that I did like about it, like the JRPG horror vibes. So I would say I do enjoy the game, but I'm gonna give the anime itself a light nay.
I'm pretty much right in the middle with a meh, because I will say, pacing wise, I felt it went a little bit fast, at least for that first episode. Banter is fine, art style's fine. Did it really do anything like, you know, spectacular or anything with like imagery or like themes? No, not really. Honestly, it was kind of like, I want to go bury my face in a hole because cringe. But like, I feel like for maybe fans of the game, like, they probably would hate it. But for anyone who doesn't want to play the game, that just wants to sit there and watch something, so that way they can experience it without actually having to put in the work, maybe this is for them.
Yeah, I'm just a nay. Like, I just couldn't connect with the story or the characters. Like, I felt bad for Rachel, but I can only, for me personally, I can only hear, I want to end my life so many times, and I'm going to kill you when you're ready so many times before, like, all right, we get it. It's depressing enough as it is. You don't have to keep rubbing it in my face. So, not really my thing. But if you had fun with the game, more power to you. But that's just not my jam usually.
As far as I remember, this seems very faithful to the game, and I appreciate that. But something that Al said towards the top made me realize, did I actually enjoy playing this game, or did I just like hanging out with my friends? And that's kind of sitting on me this entire time.
Can I throw out there that sometimes friendship is the serial killers we made along the way?
Yeah.
A little too true for this game.
Funny.
Yeah, I guess this is just a solid meh. It's fine. It's faithful. The animation is a little awkward at points. Like, sometimes the bodies just did not move like people. Or, like, Rachel's hands were always way too small and short. Camera angle would change. I'd be like, oh.
As someone who has very small and short hands, I am offended.
No, it was like that one scene in Free.
Oh.
Why do they have baby hands? Yeah. So, I don't know. Just don't even play it yourself. Just watch our playthrough. That's the best
watch our playthrough.
experience of this.
Yeah, definitely. Any show that we've reviewed here today that we've also played in some capacity, please just go watch it. Please. Also,
Please.
Boyfriend Dungeon, because I think we mentioned that recently. Or no,
Yes.
How to Date
Yeah.
a Magical Girl. You know what? Do both. Both of them are good, I think.
What
I
about
like
Monster
them.
Road
All
Trip?
of them.
Monster Road Trip. Well, no, we mentioned How to Date a Magical Girl because Persona references and stuff. And there were other things. We make a lot of stuff here. Can
Just
you
watch
just
all
come
of
and
them.
join?
There's got to be something in there you like.
I have a question for you guys because
There's
like
Doki Doki Literature Club.
yes, we did do that
Yeah.
a while back, but yeah, that was an experience. We mentioned the animation a couple times, and I forgot to bring this up while we were doing it because it definitely changes from going from like a pixely kind of like 8-bit or 8-bit kind of looking thing, and then turns into this. Does anyone remember the show from 2007 called Code Monkeys?
No.
I think it was like on...
I've heard of it.
I distinctly remember one advertisement for it, and that's it.
Yeah, it was like on Comedy Central or something back in the day, and it was like a bunch of 8-bit characters doing programming, but it was also like a bunch of like classic video game references. Do you think the show would have worked better looking like that?
No.
It's definitely a different show.
No.
Do we think maybe better?
No.
That would be weird.
Okay, maybe.
I think
that would be too
just think,
comedic.
yeah.
But my favorite parts were the comedy in this.
I know what
My
you're
favorite
saying.
part of the horror anime was the jokes.
So if you could make them look more like their sprites for when they're doing the dialogue,
That's what I'm saying.
no, this is not that.
Well, it's more like the game than the show was.
No.
I don't know. It was a thought.
I get what you're saying.
But I feel like that like requires sticking to a certain aesthetic, and I'm not sure a lot of people would necessarily be down for that.
Fair enough. Okay, so that ends Video Game Adaptation Month. It was a time that we had.
It was mixed.
Yes.
It was pretty meh overall. We gotta say it's pretty meh. I don't think next month is gonna be meh because I've curated a couple things for you guys. I'm very happy about what we're gonna be doing. So I don't know what my initial idea of how to transition into this was, but like we wanted to just do some fun stuff as we got closer to the end of the year. And one of the things that we've always enjoyed, I think everyone has enjoyed who's ever watched it, any cartoon made by Steven Spielberg. So that's what all of next month is going to be. Next week we're doing Tiny Toons, and then Animaniacs, Pinky and the Brain, Freakazoid, and then there's one extra day, the last day of September is another day it's coming out. So we're like, you know what? Halloween can annex a day. We'll watch Gargoyles.
Yeah.
So I'm
Very nice.
frankly, pretty much everything else we got for the rest of the year. This year, I like that we're doing themes and stuff, and I like doing that. Some stuff I think throughout the year has been a little, that I'm not always excited. I'm excited for just about everything we got coming out for the rest of the year. So, looking forward to it. Hope you guys are too. I got a couple episodes of Tiny Toons that I'm gonna send to everybody because it's a long show. Talk about whatever you want, but I want to give everybody a nice sample platter of everything. So, yeah, we'll be watching that, talking about it next week. Come back for that and the rest of Steven Spielberg stuff. We'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell icon for notifications. If you enjoy this video, give us a like, and if you haven't already, check out some of our previous episodes, our daily gaming videos, or our parody series, Madoka Magically Abridged. See you next time!